I'm Tara from Whereistara.com, and today I'm going to answer a few travel related questions for you. I haven't really, I'm lucky enough to have 2 passports, so I have an Irish one and a New Zealand one because I was born in New Zealand and I grew up in Ireland, so it makes it really handy for me in a lot of countries visa wise. I did have like a slight problem once when I was going into Prague, because I used to have this passport where the photo, my Irish passport, I think I got the photo taken when I was about 17 or 18, and my hair was really dark, and I don't know how I got away with that photo really. I had like lots of eyeliner on and I just I looked like a different person basically. And then I was using it when I was like 25 because it was like a 10-year passport. Maybe it was 24, I'm not sure. And the customs officer like didn't believe it was me in Prague, or the immigration officer, and so he asked me to show another form of ID. So I had to get out, like, I can't even remember what I had. It might have been like an age card from New Zealand, or it could have been like, I don't know, a bank card or something. Oh, it's my driver's license actually, maybe my driver's license from the UK. And he eventually let me through, but like it was good like 15 minutes, and he called over an extra, like one of his colleagues, to double check the two against each other. I think he thought like I was, you know, trying to fake my way into the country, or maybe I was like being human trafficked or something. But yeah, that was the closest I've ever gotten to having immigration problems. Oh, and the USA, because they're like so ridiculous with who they let in and all the questions they ask you. But now I got myself like a B1, B2 visa, so they don't ask me questions anymore, so that's grand. Yeah, I live in Ireland, so we have a lockdown at the moment where you're not supposed to leave your house unless you're doing things like picking up groceries or medication or going to work if you have to go to work. You're only allowed exercise within a 2-kilometre radius from your house. And there's police, or Garda as we call them, patrolling, not like that often, but I have seen them around a lot more than they normally would be. They're patrolling to make sure that you have a good excuse for being out, or that you're within 2 kilometers of your home if you're exercising. So yeah, I am. Yeah, we're on lockdown. For me, it's not that much different from my normal life, because I normally work from home when I'm not traveling anyway, so I'm used to spending a lot of time in the house. But it is different, like, because obviously you can't go and get coffee and meet your friends and go out for dinner and that kind of thing. But we've just got to do what we have to do. You know, the earth decided this, so we have to stay in and just do what we need to do to survive, and make it easier for our governments and our healthcare workers, and just be safe and try and preserve our mental health as well while we're doing that. Like I said, this is basically my normal way of life, minus I would have a bit more social interaction if I was at home. And normally, though actually, to be honest, I'm probably being more social now because I'm video calling like my sister and my friends way more than I normally would. But it is going to be a bit hard for my relationship because my boyfriend lives in Cardiff, and obviously he's in lockdown as well, and we don't know how long this is going to last for, so we probably won't see each other for months. Luckily, we're kind of used to long distance relationships, so it won't be a wild adjustment for us, but the longest we've ever not seen each other for is maybe 2.5 months. So yeah, anything over that, it'll be a big stretch. Fingers crossed we survive, literally and figuratively. This is a good one because I had an absolute wild experience with this. So I was going on this big trip to Australia with my boyfriend because his friends were getting married and he was the best man. And to be honest, I was a bit like, this is very far to go for someone's wedding, you know, that I'm not, like, they're not my friends. Well, they are kind of now, but they weren't really, like. And I wasn't that pushed on the whole trip anyway, but we decided, right, if we're gonna go, then we should make it like a big trip and go to Samoa, which was on both of our bucket lists, and go to Hong Kong, and just make it like not just about the wedding. So that's what we did, or we planned to do. but our flight kept getting changed. This was at the start of March. We were supposed to fly, I think, the 1st or something, so we ended up not flying until the 3rd because they kept putting off, because at that stage it was China and Hong Kong that were more like, had more cases of the virus. So we went to Hong Kong and everyone thought I was crazy. Went for 2 days, everything was fine. It was just a bit like, obviously they had a lot more precautions, lots of masks, lots of disinfectants and temperature checking, but everything was fine there. But while we were in Hong Kong, Samoa changed their entrance guidelines so that anyone who had been to Hong Kong within 14 days had to, wasn't allowed into Samoa. So that meant that we basically couldn't go to Samoa anymore. And they also said that you had to go and get a medical certificate before you went to Samoa. So we were just like, oh, okay, we just won't go, because our flight was within the 14-day period, so, and we weren't going to be quarantining anyway because we had to go to the wedding in the meantime. So we had to cancel our Samoa trip, which was awful because it was on both of our bucket lists for ages, and obviously we really wanted to go. And then so we did the wedding, spent some time with our friends in Australia. It was all lovely, but we were still in the back of our minds, we were like, well, what are we going to do now? We have to figure out something to do with the rest of the time that we had planned to be in Samoa, or do we just go home early? Like, what are we going to do? Are we even going to be able to go back home through Hong Kong like we planned? Because at this stage, like, it was getting to mid-March and things were getting worse everywhere else and better in Hong Kong. So we were just thinking, maybe Hong Kong won't even let us in because we're coming from Australia into Hong Kong. So we were kind of afraid. So we moved our flight. We were not supposed to fly back until the start of April. So we moved our flight to the 19th of March. And we were like, grand, everything's sorted. We're totally fine, ready to head home. Like, we're being very careful, la la la. And then, like, literally probably like 4 hours after we moved our flight to the 19th, Hong Kong banned all arrivals. Or, well, they didn't ban arrivals. They said if you landed into Hong Kong, even for transit, that you had to do 14 days mandatory isolation. So obviously we were like, we're not going to spend 14 days in Hong Kong and pay God knows how much, like, to stay there in a hotel or whatever for 14 days, just like too much hassle. So that meant that we had to then emergency book a completely new flight because there was nothing we could do about changing our Hong Kong flights. Like, it wasn't possible. So we had to book an entirely new flight, like literally for the next day, a few hours before. So that was the most intense and short notice flight I've ever booked in my life. That was long haul. And so we booked an entirely new flight. We were looking at this Thai Airways, but we had to think about so much stuff. Like, we had to think about, are we allowed transit through that airport? Like, will they stop us because we've been in Australia? Will they stop us because we were in Hong Kong? Like, will we get stuck in that airport? Like, which airlines are still flying? Will I then, because we were flying back to London, would I then be able to get a flight from London to Dublin? So anyway, we ended up thinking, okay, we can go through Bangkok or we can go through Singapore. And the Thai Airways flight through Bangkok like sold out so quickly because it was the cheapest one at like 300 and something. And we were like, damn it! So we ended up having to book a flight with Singapore Airways, which is obviously an incredibly lovely airline, through Changi, which is Singapore's airport and literally the best airport in the world. Like, check, it's won awards. So we did that. It was $550 per person, so like a big chunk of extra money that we didn't intend on spending, but ultimately it saved us money in the long run because we weren't spending money on being in Australia for an extra 2 weeks and then worrying the whole time and then not maybe potentially being able to get home at all. So yeah, we flew home and I booked my own flight with British Airways from London to Dublin, which got cancelled twice. Every time we landed in like a new airport or woke up in a new morning, it was cancelled. So we landed in Singapore and I found out that my flight from London to Dublin was cancelled, so I just switched it. I had to switch it to the next morning because there was no more that evening and we were going to get in late, which meant I had to spend a night in Heathrow, so that was an extra on top of that, so I was paying for airport hotels. And it was just a bit of a mess. Like, I mean, airport travel was great because there was no one around and I've never had such a smooth security experience. Like, it was a great experience to travel through it, seeing all the thermal scanners and like not having to queue for anything, and kind of like this mass exodus from countries and just seeing it all happen. But yeah, it was a lot of stress. I felt like I was holding my breath until I got on that flight from London to Dublin. Then I could breathe because I was actually at home, but I just felt like I couldn't breathe, you know, in case something went wrong. I felt like I was just holding my breath so that nothing got cancelled. Yeah, so obviously I'm home, I made it, but it was a journey and it cost a lot extra than I was supposed to, but whatever. I'm just glad that I was in the position to be able to pay that and like just not stress out too much about it. Like, I'd rather be home than stay somewhere and then get stuck there like all those poor people who are stuck out in New Zealand and Australia now. But yeah, what a wild ride. Anyway, that's a few questions, and it's way longer than they asked me to make this video, so hopefully they were interesting and you learned a bit about me.